Yep, another simple 2000 game known in PAL region as Zombie Attack and in Japan as Simple 2000 Volume 65, The Kyonchi Panic. Now I will return to the title of the game later because it will be important. But if you know a bit about Chinese culture, then you will notice the issue immediately. But first let's talk about some other stuff. Developed by Thumbsoft and published by D3 Publisher in Japan in the year 2004 and 505 Games in PAL region in 2006, no North American release, Zombie Attack lets you control a 16-year-old girl called Shin Fu-ye, or however it's pronounced. She is a member of a Chinese army anti-spirit special forces that fights against zombies. In the year 2050, her job now is to infiltrate a building infested with zombies, so she can save the humans that are still trapped inside. Now, sure, this is the basic story. And while there is a twist in the end of the game that only happens in the last stage, that twist means actually nothing. Because as it turns out, Shin Fu-ye, or however it's pronounced, isn't technically human. According to this dialogue and translation, she was born as a demon but died very young. But this old man revived her because it never becomes clear. But I have a theory based on the fact that the zombies that are invading this building were revived by him. I assume that this old man had no idea if he would be able to revive anybody, and since Shin Fu-ye a long time ago died, she used her body as a test subject. The result is what you are seeing right now, a walking and zombie destroying Shin Fu-ye. And since he got the results he wanted back then, he started to revive the dead and take control over them. But this man is actually very smart because in the last stage he essentially tricked this old man, this kid, and this fat bastard to do his own bidding that led to this building being in the state that it is now. But in the end, his ultimate goal is to conquer the world, I guess. Yeah, sure, I am trying to make sense of this, and sure, the translation in the game might be wrong, but that's what I get out of what was presented here. And who cares if I've spoiled the whole thing? Outside of me, who the fuck will even play this? Seriously though, I hope somebody does, because the game isn't that bad. Graphically, the game looks quite fine. Shin Fu-ye looks decent, but looks kinda weird in the cutscenes. Sure, there are only 2 cutscenes, one in the beginning and one at the end of the game, but she looks rather undetailed for no reason. Might be the quality of the game itself in these scenes because it's a bit blurry. She is also a bit pale, but considering her story, it's actually understandable. The enemies look fine, but the variety is rather minimal. There are normal zombies in 3 colors, giant zombies that take a lot of damage, and flying kid zombies that require you to use 2 different weapons on them. Okay, and some bosses. The survivors are the worst here because they tend to be copy and paste. I mean, this fat bastard looks the same no matter the stage you are in. The only thing that might change between these NPCs are their clothing color, but outside of that, it's just copy and paste. But I understand, it's a very low budget game, so yeah, okay, it gets a pass. The environments are also on the simplistic side, as you can see. All stages have a lot of corridors and a very similar structure, just with different colors. Even the Japanese themed stage doesn't really help to eliminate the monotony of the stages. one thing that I don't get is why the loading screen before any stage is so damn dark. I thought I messed with the settings somehow, but no, that's just how the game is. I mean, why? But hey, the music is at least themed correctly. Obviously it's Chinese themed for the most part and it sounds quite fine, but rather unfitting for the bosses. Regarding bosses, I was expecting something more action-packed, but honestly I only noticed it while rewatching what I had recorded and didn't notice it while playing. Outside of some grunts from the characters, there is no real voice acting here, but I guess that's fine. Now the gameplay. You will have 7 stages total. Yeah, another short game. However, unlike Demolition Girl, where you could replay the story over again to unlock new bikinis, here you can unlock a new costume. That's just a dark version of the original, and that's about it. You unlock it by beating the game once, kind of a shame that it's just one costume. In 20 minutes you have to try to save at least the required amount of humans and kill enemies. For that to happen, you have to run around, go from room to room and try to do your job. If the clock reaches 0, then you will die. Even without a map and if you have bad memory, the stages are quite manageable to clear. This is because there is only one way out and one way everything can go. But still, a map always helps, especially in the later levels. And one thing that I quite like here is that you actually have to earn the map by finding it first on every level. Once you've done that, you can look at the map and see where you've been and where you are. Well, not exactly where you are specifically, but just the area you are in. This flashy part on the map is where you actually are. You can also find a radar to help you out. The radar shows you where you and the enemies are in the radius the radar gives you. The same goes for the survivors. They will be displayed in yellow. But both the map and the radar are not required at all to finish any level. From time to time you will find some power-ups and heal potions. Now you will never need heal potions because while the enemies can throw you to the ground, you will never die. The survivors are the ones that lose energy if attacked by the enemy and need to be healed by these items. The enemies tend to be rather easy to defeat, and since you don't really have difficulty setting, the challenge can't really be increased. You technically can't die, so it should be an easy game either way. However, if a certain amount of survivors die, then you die as well because you failed the mission. Or, like I've mentioned previously, if the clock reaches 0. The mission description tells you how many survivors you have to rescue to clear the stage. If you have 4 of them, but only 3 are required, then if one dies, it doesn't really matter. Let him die. After beating the game, the menu says that there is an extra difficulty, but really the only thing that changes is the costume Shin-Fuye wears. I've played on this extra difficulty for a while, but not beat it yet. Maybe I should try it, but I didn't notice a real difference in the difficulty. But that might be because my weapons kept the same level they were when I defeated the final boss for the first time. So yes, you can level up your weapons by using them in battle. The more you use them, the more EXP they get and level up at some point. You have a sword, a gun you can throw right around you, and throw a seal to defeat the zombies. Each weapon can be charged to deal more damage as well. a charged sword does a combo attack, and the higher the level, the longer the combo. The gun has a rapid fire as standard, but when charged, it turns into an explosive round. The charged rise creates a barrier around you, and for around 10 seconds or so, you can't be hit during that time. And the charged seal seals multiple zombies at once. One nice touch is that the color of the charged attacks change depending on the level the weapon is in. That was really nice. You can attack the zombies as much as you want, you can only defeat them by sealing them. So once this violet aura, let's say, is around the zombies, try to seal them. One thing that is really nice is that once defeated, no zombie respawns. Now the really annoying part, saving the survivors. In itself, it wouldn't be that bad, but they can get on your nerves once they get scared and start running around like fucking idiots. Yeah, they are panicking, yeah, I understand, but still. However, there is a very good way to deal with this. Well, for the most part. See these options on the screen that you can change on the fly? To save and make them follow you, you need rescue. You can also choose to not save them at all and let them die if you want to be an asshole. You can say stop right there and force them to stay put, basically not move, on a certain point so you can first clear the area in front of you from zombies and avoid seeing the survivors running around like idiots. Escape means that they will try to escape on their own, which isn't all too helpful. And breathe means that they will stop breathing for around 10 seconds. What this does is the zombies won't attack them for those 10 seconds, they will attack you instead. However, once they breathe again, the zombies will ignore you and only attack the survivors. But overall, this was a nice feature and adds some depth to the game. I was rather surprised to see these options and the ways you can deal with the survivors. But what you have to deal with constantly is the survivors running behind you. Most of them are way too slow and you constantly have to wait for them to catch up. If you change areas without them around, they will stay behind. This will get really annoying because you constantly have to stop running every 3 seconds or so they can catch up with you. Especially the old man and this fat bastard are the most annoying ones because they are so damn slow. The old man simply doesn't have the energy to run at all, and this one is simply too fat to run fast. Even the kid, the wife, and this dude are a tad too slow. Now to finally address the elephant in the room. The game is called Zombie Attack in PAL regions, but where are the zombies? I guess since the enemies were revived or reincarnated, they technically are zombies, but to be specific, they are actually kyonchi, as the Japanese title mentions. Or to be even more precise, they are jianchi, if I pronounced that correctly. They are essentially hopping vampires that were revived, which is why you see them hopping around in the game. But I guess that the typical Westerner wouldn't know what a kyonchi or jianchi is, and be more familiar with the term zombie. So I guess that's about it. Another simple 2000 game in the books, and yes, I will tackle way more of these in the future because I have a certain fondness for them. And seriously, just because they are low budget doesn't mean they are bad. Well, okay, some are really shit, but many are surprisingly decent to even good. So good in fact that they even spawned their own franchises outside of the Simple 2000 label, and at least one of those is still going strong to this day. But Zombie Attack is actually a better game than I make it sound. Sure, graphically it's not spectacular at all. When attacking with charged attacks, the screen gets annoyingly blurry for some reason. The sound is mostly Chinese themed and overall okay. The character models could be better, but they are passable. The stages are a bit too monotonous, the challenge isn't high at all, even though it looks quite slightly delayed, the animations are quite fine, even when Shinfuye has to change from weapon to weapon, only when she runs it looks a bit clumsy. Saving the survivors can be a tad annoying, but fun when using the options on the screen. They could run a lot faster though, and the slashing of enemies is also quite fun. So yeah, I am kind of forgiving because of the fact that this is a very low budget title, but from my point of view, it's actually quite a decent game for a few short hours at least, since it only has 7 stages. But sadly no replayability value and barely a real challenge.